And without further ado, I would like to introduce our next speakers. We have two speakers from Rwanda, Paulin and Costica, and they will share with us some interesting and great achievements that they have done in their country, and they have developed an interesting machine, and I don't want to spoil the surprise. Over to you, Paulin.
And Tom, you need to release the screen, Tom Larkin.
Yeah, please share your screen as we agreed.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Paulin Banguti. I'm a teacher at the University of Rwanda. I work with my colleague, Costica, who is an engineer. We've met over ventilators, and now we are working together, find a solution for our population. So my presentation, I'll be short because I want to give more time to Costica as the main engineer on the project to go through. I'll just talk a little bit about is this Rwanda emergency ventilator a sustainable solution for our country, and maybe some of the other low-income countries having such solution. Is it the sustainable global solution for those countries? As the background, you know, most of the time when an epidemic or a pandemic appears, many people remind themselves about ventilators. You can see how poliomyelitis epidemic reminded people about ventilators. In many cases, even in Hong Kong, in China, all the time when there is a H1N1 epidemic, people remember again about ventilators and mechanical ventilation, about respiratory distress, and then it's a good time for people in the field to wake up and come up with solutions. So that's what's happening with COVID. One of the terms which many people learn about was ventilator, ICU, critical care. And so I think it's time to keep that in mind of people and teach and bring to them solution which can be sustainable, so that if the next pandemic or epidemic appear again, people should not be surprised again. So COVID-19 is the pneumonia, and on the middle, last time with Professor Donner, we saw about the hypoxia was in the middle of the problem, and that hypoxia will be the cause of mortality. So need of oxygen supply and ventilator was really at the top, but some low-income countries were suffering from financial capacity and could not afford. And even the global supply market chain was disturbed, so it was difficult for people to meet, to really respond to it. Lucky enough, there was not high demand of vent in low-income countries. So even when you see the ICUs in those countries, ICUs are not really well equipped. Number of ventilators are not, we can't find them, and even the staff are not well trained. So there was a need for an affordable solution which can respond to the level of the country. So that's where that is a friend of my colleague Costica, sitting in the workshop with this mannequin. So this is the model of the first model of the prototype, the vent, after Costica came up with the idea. So now it is still in the industry, and we are working on how to make it a little bit smaller to fit in, like in the ambulances. So the principle, I'm sure Costica will come back to that, is very simple. And as he told me, it was inspired by the MIT event, where they use very simple things we have in our hospital. The BVM is something well known by the resuscitator, and the concentrator of oxygen is well known. So it was just a matter of assembling those pieces and coming up with an automata which could help people to ventilate automatically, so give the appropriate stated mode. So now, what is needed for now, it's a support. So people will come up with many ideas, and but the need is, we need a technical support and financial support, because we know after COVID, there will be a lot of vent in the world, maybe to be distributed, shaped, but that, just like the Japanese proverb says, give me a fish, I will eat today, but teach me how to fish, I will sit on my boat and drink my beer quietly. So people need in Africa now, in low-income countries, they need to be part of the system, to be part of the manufacturing, part of the production, so that the maintenance will be very easy. If you go in many hospitals, you'll find there is a lot of equipment displaced because that people don't know where to touch, even to make it back to into the system. So if we have people in the high-income countries and low-income countries working together in low-income countries to come up with assembling equipment for the need of low-income countries, that will be more sustainable and will let engineers in low-income countries to master and to be on top of what they are driving. So that was the end of my presentation. So Costica will take the lead now.
And unfortunately, we've got so little time, Costica, so really just 1 or 2 minutes. Sorry, we've got to get to the second half.
Thanks so much, Tom. So as Dr. Paulin said, yes, we have been following the world, how the situation on ventilators. So that's why we came up with this idea to develop our course. Of course, if I look at the question from colleagues and Adrian, and so, yes, this emergency ventilator may not be used for long term in the ICU, where they have an access to the high-end technology, drug market and all other brands. But for short terms, for countries like in our setting, we need that type of ventilator. So the other question was that, of course, our machine has a micromotor controlled by software. We also have barrel, as I said, we have microprocessor control. The other key element is having a high-end technology, gas flow analyzer, pressure analyzers. So make sure if you want to deliver a certain amount of patient, we have such amounts. So this idea is not high-end, but if we can have at least some countries in Africa developing such few technologies, they will make sure that in case the COVID hit Africa, which may likely to happen, we will not watching people dying without doing anything, because if it happened in Western countries, what if it will happen in Africa? So on WHO side, what we are requesting, and the whole SED and the team, is to mobilize, provide more training. I saw some, materials, but also testing, recommending where to buy good materials and to give a guidance. But we should not say this is the low cost, this is the basic, without supporting this technology. Otherwise, we may have a challenge where we don't have anything to do, just watching people dying. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Costica.